Hello everyone. Warm welcome to this first episode of Rural Dialogues with me, Dr. Pratyush Kumar, and our co-host, Professor Bruce Jater. And for the first guest is Professor Mehmet Ungan, who is also the candidate for the WONCA President-Elect position. And this is a podcast which will feature rural health professionals from all over the globe. And we believe to create awareness through this podcast and showcase important rural health initiatives done globally through this thing. So welcome, Dr. Mehmet. And I'll just have a brief round of introduction. First with myself, I'm Dr. Pratyush Kumar, Chair-Elect of Rural WONCA and the founder of WONCA Rural South Asia, Rural Health Group in South Asia. Next to Bruce, my co-host.
Yes, I'm the current chair of Rural WONCA and handing over in 4 weeks at the WONCA conference in Lisbon. Thank you.
If it's my turn, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you so much for inviting me to the Rural Dialogues, which is very interesting and very nice initiative. And it's a podcast, as I understand, and it's a real honor to join to you. As a family doctor and an academic, but also as someone who has worked closely with the rural colleges for many years. If you remember, in the European continent also, we had a chair in our executive committee. Now currently Ferdinando is presenting rural there. So we have been working together for a long year and long years. And I know that rural health is where the biggest challenges and biggest opportunities also for global health. Let me introduce myself. I am Mehmet Ungan, a family physician and a professor of family medicine at Ankara University in Turkey. My journey has combined patient care, teaching, and leadership as president of WONCA Europe, president of EGPRN, and now as the co-chair of the scientific committee for the Lisbon 2025 WONCA World Conference. Through these roles, I have seen how rural practitioners are not only healers, but also leaders, educators, and advocates in their community.
Thank you. And as a candidate for WONCA President-Elect, what do you see as the single most critical challenge facing rural healthcare professionals globally today? And what is your proposed solution to address it?
If I had to name just one official challenge, I would say it is the shortage and maldistribution of the health workforce. Too many rural doctors and nurses are working in isolation, often with limited resources and very little support. I have seen in many islands or many parts of my country also. The solution is not single step, but I think I'm not an expert, but as much as I work with the rural colleagues when I was president of the Europe, we need stronger training pipeline for rural family doctors because they need it and they don't have time to do that and they don't have the resources to. And we need digital health to connect rural professionals with mentors and peers, let's say. And according to me, we need far incentives and policies that make rural practice sustainable and respected, and they have to understand that this is the initial part of the equity for all around the world. I think we have to be really learning a lot from our colleagues, at least working together.
Mehmet, have you seen any good examples that you think you'd like to promote during your presidency about rural training pipelines? Because it's an often used term, but it's a matter of getting member organisations, colleges, academies, and the like to actually have those in place and support them. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Actually, I have some thoughts, but I don't know whether they are dreams or not. But at least I can tell you that we have some samples which worked, and if you heard about the web-based research training course and certificate for the general practitioners, GPs, mainly for Europe, but also for the rest of the world. And we have now more than 900 GPs graduated from research course. It is an offline module designed by me and my colleagues, and when I was the president, and it is now open to every college, every country, The only thing is they have to be a member of their college. If they are a member of their own college, it is free of charge, and whenever they want, in a year's time, they can complete 20 plus modules, and then they get the European certificate for that. And this was actually for those people who are beginning to research or who wants to make a research in their practice, in their rural practice alone, and who doesn't have resources or support enough to get the initial knowledge for the research or research planning. And of course, the advanced stage depends on their own resources and on their interest for that. But at least some certain people over 50s are really ashamed of having training, going to somewhere, but they can sit down in their office and they can get those trainings which they are really needing. So it worked. It really worked, and it is still working. So that is the reason I am really willing to work with the rural doctors, especially because Ferdinando also helped me a lot to include some parts, to ask some certain parts which might be useful for the rural doctors also. But this is a research, of course. And what we can do is, we can just take that model. It is simple. It is free of charge. It is easy technology. If you have an internet access, a normal internet access, you can do that. So if we have such kind of plans or projects coming from the rural community, then as a president, I will be really behind that and working on it. This is my really, aim, which already realized, so it can be realized again, I think, in a worldwide scale.
And it's always a matter of discussion regarding how we deal with working parties and special interest groups. I think for the president, it's been one of the most important jobs, because working parties and special interest groups are the powerhouse of WONCA.
Yeah.
And as rural WONCA, we would like to know your thoughts on this, that how can rural WONCA, as the WONCA Working Party on Rural Practice, can support WONCA World to further its mission globally? And how can WONCA support rural WONCA initiatives? What's your thought on this?
So if I understood correctly, the rural WONCA has always been just supporter and conscience of WONCA when it comes to equity, and it brings advocacy, research, and live experiences that enriches the whole organization, which I experienced in that way, at least. At the same time, WONCA, as a global body, needs to do more to back the rural WONCA by amplifying its voice, embedding rural health into all conferences and initiatives, and mobilizing partnership that really strengthen rural advocacy worldwide. I know that WONCA World Executive Committee structure is different than the region which I have been as a president. So although it was very hard to put a rural chair in my executive, we managed it, and it is working excellent, because now the voice is directly in the executive. So I would really search for it, how to formulate, like young doctors, you have that experience. We can really need the rural voice inside of our executive always, because this is a different way of thinking, but at the end of the day, the outcomes are really good sample for all equity issues all around the world, for equal health care for everyone, because you never know if it's a rural place or not. Even large cities, metropolitan cities, there are a lot of experiences that would be coming from South Africa, from Australia, from Kenya. There are developed a lot of items, So I think we really need rural medicine to be represented in the executive.
Mehmet, tell us a little bit more about how you did that in Europe. Obviously, that was a major thing too, and I'm sure you would have come across some arguments to say why would you do this? But I think, it is it's obviously true from our point of view that the rural is very disadvantaged still worldwide, and you've recognised that in Europe, and you've put someone on the executive. Could you tell us how you might take that forward to the international stage? How practically or how practical do you think that would be, and what lessons do you have from what you learned in taking it to Europe?
Bruce, that is a very good question, and this is also the challenge and difficulty, because now all WONCA regions have their different working style, in their executives. And WONCA Europe has a constitution, they have bylaws which enables the networks or working parties, let's say, in your term, networks to be represented in the executive committee with the bylaw. The problem was it was restricted to only 3 of them. The research, education, and quality were being represented in the executive. And it was not easy to convince the council. A few years it took at least, and a few meetings we have been advocating for Europa and letting them to express themselves, and with the evidences also in the council meetings, to get a chair also there. Of course, one of the challenges is once the rural doctors start to do that, then somebody else is coming and saying that, okay, to be in, but they wanted the Europa to be in. So what I understand is our audience and our member organizations are also sensitive for rural medicine. They really support, in idea at least, maybe not in action, but in mentally they are supporting us. The only thing is the constitution of the WONCA world is not like the WONCA Europe. This is the problem. Otherwise, I would have stopped anyway.
So thank you. And just for the closing one, we would like to have your advice. Someone should vote for you. Just in brief, in 2 minutes.
For me, the rural health is global health. And if we want equity and sustainability, we have to start with rural communities. And WONCA has the responsibility and the privilege to make this a reality. And I am fully committed to that mission. Finally, I warmly invite you to join us to WONCA World Conference in Lisbon. And rural practice must have a strong voice on the global stage. It has strong voice, but we shouldn't lose it. We shouldn't get it less from time to time. It should be really high. And shaping the conversations on sustainability, digital health, and the human touch in family medicine, I think they are really possible to be with you only, because you have been doing it for many years. Together, through action, unity, and purpose, we can strengthen the rural family medicine and with it a global primary care. Thank you for your trust and being with me today together.
Bruce, your closing remarks.
Obviously, we wish all the candidates well, and we thank you for being able to talk to us tonight and give us your views. We certainly thank you for your support in Europe, and we look forward, if you're successful in your bid for presidency, to be working with you. And I'll be immediate past chair, but Pratyush will be in the driver's seat, so I'm sure he very much looks forward to working with you and making the most of the incredible experience you've had both with research and also with Europe. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
It was a lovely discussion with you, and
bye-bye. See you there
in Lisbon.
See you in Lisbon.
See you in Lisbon. Bye-bye.